Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Got two folks already in the stream, and I want to say hello to all of you. And we get started with Elon tweets. Get them out of the way, just because there were so many. There didn't appear to be any real substance other than obviously the SpaceX stuff, but everything else was memes and meme responses. So that was that's Elon Musk for you. The other folks will be joining us shortly, and it's about 90 degrees out right now. We haven't had any of the cicadas in my immediate area, but they are all around in the surrounding area. In fact, we went to film a new product review that I'll be editing shortly, and I was afraid that their calls would be so loud they'd come in on the microphone, but they thankfully did not. And so that'll be a fun one to edit and put together for you guys. Do I give a hint or not? It's not. Yes, Eddie. No cicadas out there. Thankfully, after this, they'll be on for about 2 decades, and we won't have to worry about them for a while. Hopefully, it turns out that what really sets them off is the ground temperature. So there were actually a couple of them that released early, both last year and about 3 or 4 years ago, but it wasn't the full swarm that we're having right now, and that we had about 20 years ago, 17 to be exact. Gross little creatures, but the good thing is they don't bite. They just get everywhere. The cicada fungus, that's something I've been hearing about that sounds gross, and hopefully I don't have to deal with any of them. I've got a full day for you of news and events, and somebody just put a new article in the chat. I'm curious what that's about. We'll find out momentarily. Let me add it to the list here. What's up, Omar? Good morning, Omar.
Hello. Hello, Casey, and hello, everybody.
Yes. Eddie was telling us he doesn't have any cicadas.
Oh, no cicada. Well, you know what? No cicadas here either.
Yeah. Do you normally get them, though?
So I think there's different broods.
Oh, yeah.
And so this particular subset, we don't get.
Oh, okay.
I think it's because we have like sandy soil here.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why we don't get them.
Yeah.
But there is a brood that we do get, but not this round.
Yeah. So either we're in that same batch in my immediate area, or the whole area has just been dug up since they laid their eggs, because we got a new road. All the houses around here are new, so it's very possible they just didn't survive. Not that I'm complaining at all, because there's enough wildlife, and they're doing well.
Yeah, but if you really want to see them, you don't have to drive too far to go see them.
I did not. Yeah, I went for this product I was reviewing. The plan was for me to have a bucket of popcorn in the car, and we didn't do that. I ended up going to Red Robin, and man, they are loud. They can hear them over the air conditioner, over the radio, with the windows up. and every now and then you see one flying by. It looks like a small bird when you see the wings go, and it's just like gross. But hey, they're part of the circle of life. So was that you that put in the most recent article in the document, or was that somebody else?
Yeah, that was me that added the last one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Which I thought kind of tied into what you were just talking about, Elon Tweets.
Yes, go ahead.
And so I didn't hear everything that you were saying, but I saw that you were talking about Elon Tweets, and he's been tweeting a lot in the recent weeks, especially about Bitcoin and all these meme stocks and stonks and
yes,
Doge to the moon and all this other stuff, right? Was it Cum Rocket and all these other weird?
That one was. Yeah, he's had a couple of the really sketch tweets as well.
Those really weird altcoins, as we'll call them. So because of all this stuff, Anonymous has decided, you know what, he's being manipulative and he's manipulating the market, and they believe that he's doing it to his own benefit. They think he's just manipulating the market, and he's just being arrogant about it, and he's having fun playing with the market. He's playing with them. So, a bunch of them are upset because, people have been following and people have been losing money playing around in this market, basically gambling. And so Anonymous declared war on Elon and put out this long video, basically saying that they thought he was a different and was, just for the planet and wanted to do good and this and the other. Come to find out, they believe that he's just arrogant. And he's like all the other billionaires, and he's just, exposed for who he really is now. And so now they're going after him. So that's a scary thing to have Anonymous going after you.
Yes.
From their past, they've been known to wreak havoc.
That they do. I think that people ascribe too much intent to him, what he thinks is goofing off on the internet. And he just doesn't have anybody in his circle to tell him what's really going on as far as how normies view him. And I don't know if that's healthy for him.
Yeah, I think the problem is he's just having fun with his tweets, some of them. But the problem is you don't know if he's joking or if he's just having fun. So people take all his stuff seriously. They take everything he says seriously, even when he's just joking around. And that, I think, causes issues.
Yeah, I think after he got done with his all of his various COVID tweets, both the ones saying, don't be scared of the panic, and when he went off in that weird pseudoscience stuff with those people who seemed to be scientists, but turned out they were quacks. Since then, he pretty much hasn't done anything serious unless it was straight up business. And then you could tell, hey, he's talking about business. He's serious now. And then otherwise, you just really kind of throw away pretty much anything he says. It's not about business, and or his kid, stuff like that. But it seems that he's got. You can, if you watch him enough, you can tell what is mostly serious, and just assume everything else is a joke if it's not blatantly obvious that it's serious. But as we were saying, a lot of people have it out for him. A lot of people are ascribing stuff to him based on hearsay, and him explaining that he's his neurological condition helps, but it's a little late, and even then, a lot of people don't interact with enough autistic people that they are aware are autistic, that they have any sort of frame of reference on how to deal with it. So they end up with a negative reaction that might be a little too strong for what's actually going on. And then, of course, him not having enough ability to... I'm not saying he can't empathize, because he clearly empathizes when he starts crying about kids going hungry and people choosing between food and air conditioning. But he doesn't do it the same way as a neurotypical person. So he might not even see the problem. So he needs some more people in his life, like Gwen Shotwell, to call him on when he's being goofy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the news, one of the first things I've got for you is okay, it scrolled. That's not what I had first. There have been now permits filed for 56 more supercharger stalls at Tijon, I'm saying it way wrong, Tijon, California, at the Outlets Mall.
I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but
yeah,
I'm not a Californian.
Sad to say I am, and I don't know how to say it. But I haven't lived there in quite a while. So 56 stalls is quite a large V3 installation.
$56 is humongous.
Yes.
But they need it. I mean, in California, the Tesla is like more popular than like the Camry. It's like just common out there now. They need them. They need all the chargers they can get.
They do. And that plays into I don't know where I put it in the show. So let's just talk about it now. Tesla Burger.
Yes. They filed for a patent for a restaurant, and
yes.
So years ago, Elon had tweeted about his vision. Well, not tweeted, he's actually spoke about it, I guess, in interviews or whatnot, about his vision with the superchargers.
Yeah.
And there was a few things with them. Like one, he envisioned um, the superchargers to be solar powered or otherwise, powered from green resources. And then the other thing is he envisioned having this almost like 50 styles,
Yeah.
burger
Yeah,
restaurant or
like a
whatever with people
like a roller diner. Yeah.
roller skating out to deliver your burger to your car while you charge and stuff like that. So like it looks like he's really trying to move forward with making that happen now, because now that they actually filed for a trademark or patent, or I think it was a trademark for Tesla restaurants.
Yeah. So several of them, all related to restaurants, food service. They did it with the Tesla T logo as well as the Tesla wordmark logo. So this will be interesting to see that this is finally coming to be, because when he first described a couple of these locations, I think he initially said like two. It sounds really exciting, like a drive-in movie combined with like a roller restaurant. And as long as they have a plethora of foods for vegan, gluten free,
Well, I'm sure
meaty.
I'm sure they will. I mean,
I hope
just
they will.
given. Well, if you think about it,
Especially if they start in California, though.
Considering the fact that they're starting off in California, considering the fact that they are an electric car company, so a lot of their customers and the people that kind of gravitate towards them, a lot of people would be in that space. I think they're going to have plenty of options for people.
Yeah, so. And then his brother, owns both a farm and a restaurant. It's all about clean eating and green living. So hopefully that influence.
It's all tying in together.
Yes, it does. We can't see the chess he's playing until the moves are coming to an end, and it's fun. Dawood says he stops there every time he goes to LA. And what do you think? Would that make it more of a fun stop for you, or at least would the kids enjoy it?
At least bare minimum, the additional 56 superchargers coming to that,
yes.
that spot would definitely help, especially V3s that aren't sharing power, so they're very fast charging.
Yeah, I'm also curious about the drive-in portion of it all, where he said, supercharger-sized movies. But as he keeps making these superchargers and the cars faster, I don't know. I mean, how long are these movies going to be? 15 minutes? I mean, even that's kind of long.
Yeah, they have to be Quibbies.
Yeah, Quibbies. he bought Quibi. And then are they going to put them on a display, or are they going to put them? Oh, sorry. Are they going to put them on your car screen? No, I'm still down here. Over here. I don't know what this thing is.
You and your
the camera.
You and your robot camera.
It's like, oh, that light. Let's look at the light.
You got to get some of that. You got to get some of that Tesla AI built in,
right? Yeah. Right now we've got the NVIDIA AI, and apparently it's not as good. Elon thought so as well. He made his own system.
Right.
Yeah. The kids love Kettleman coffee and Big Jenga. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'm hoping that they end up putting in more of these. These are intriguing to me. I haven't seen any firsthand yet. I'll have to make a road trip now that we're able to travel the world again.
Yeah, at some point I'm gonna have to make a nice long road trip, go out there, check out these interesting places that I've heard about but haven't been.
Right. Let's see. I've got a picture to share as soon as I figure out how to work my system again. Hopefully I don't break anything today. Let's see. Go to tab. Do this one. Boom. Okay, so no, I don't want to make it bigger. I want to make it smaller. There were over 130 Model S that are spotted being prepped. This is from Drive Tesla Canada, being prepped for shipping as the Semi is performing on the newly renovated Tesla test track. And then since this was taken, we've seen thousands of other Model S's just ready to go. And I think it's exciting, especially, we've got some friends who are expecting their refresh Model S to arrive very shortly, and it looks like they may be ready to go for June 10th.
So now, that's a lot.
That's a heck of a lot of cars.
My question is, are all those cars actually ready to go? Is there a piece missing? Because I know they were having supply issues. Like, where are they at with that? That's
they could be on standby, but with them launching on June 10th, I have a feeling it's not going to be a token amount of cars like we typically see with the Tesla launch. I mean, 6 Model X's, 100, not 100, it was 10 or 50 Model S's, and then 30 to 50 Model 3s.
No, I don't think it. Yeah,
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 I
good
think this is
point.
going to be a big launch. There might only be a handful at the event, but I have a feeling that either that night or the next night we'll have.
Start rolling them out real quickly. Well,
Yes,
you know what? It's in the quarter, so
that part too.
they love to spit out cars at the end of the quarter and hurry up and get them all delivered. So
Yeah, I guess if you're going to start a job at Tesla, you probably want to start the day after the quarter. Oh man.
Yeah.
But there were a couple sightings of folks at their local service centers, delivery centers, and stores and galleries where they saw what looked like an assembly line of people just coming in, picking up their cars. Big long line of cars out the door, and then person walk in, car drive out, person walk in, car drive out. So it looks like, at least in these locations that were spotted, that they seem to have finally got it figured out a little bit. But it would really be cool to see them smooth it out so they could have deliveries during the quarter and not just worldwide deliver all your cars in the last 10 days of the quarter.
Right.
All over the world.
It's like, yeah, instead of, yeah, they really need to even that out. So that way they're not, rushing all at the end, trying to
Yes.
spit everything out in 1 month.
Especially at year end. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's hectic.
This one was fun. We have a weird Alibaba find of the week in our friends at. Oh, good morning, Robert. We had to restart his phone. So as I was saying, Electric had a weird EV find of the week on Alibaba. So let's take a look at this. I thought it was pretty unique because, with a Thai wife, we seem to have this weird obsession with tuk-tuks for some reason. and they found this $2,000 food truck. What do you think? You're muted.
Okay, so
There,
that's
you're back.
interesting. I mean, if you want to start a food truck business, hey,
Yeah,
that's a really economical way to get started.
yeah, and it's electric.
And it's electric, which is awesome because that means low fuel costs and low maintenance.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's got a big enough battery to run the truck as well. That way, like maybe a separate battery. That way, you don't need to worry about a generator, because putting all that into the air while you're trying to make food just not as appetizing. So you could have the best food in the world, and all of a sudden you get that hint of half burnt gasoline. It's like, not as good anymore. Still probably delicious, but it's not the same.
Yeah, and if it, if they have enough batteries to run it, then it's quiet.
Yes.
So
it allows them to operate in more places without having that drone go on.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So on Kickstarter, Facebook. I think this is a good idea. It's got the lights. It looks well done. I'd actually have to take one out for a spin to know if it's actually good enough to cook in and drive. But with that footprint, it looks like it'd be easy enough to get into some of the really tight places that you have to work with. And if you're not making a bunch of noise, you can be right up next to the concert. You can you have a lot of folks that don't have any issue with you if you don't make noise. What do you think about this $2,000 EV tuk-tuk food truck, Steph?
What?
On screen here, I've got a $2,000
Good morning,
EV
Steph.
food truck.
I just heard. What do I think about a $2,000 food truck?
Yeah, $2,000 EV food truck. We got on the screen here.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
And we were just saying
it's electric. Yeah.
You said, is that it? No, I mean, we have a ton of food trucks here,
Yeah.
and the smell of the food is always great, but then you can always also smell like the gas.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I think not only would it be more like sustainable and environmentally friendly, but it also probably is just healthier for all the people sitting there and consuming the food. So
Yes.
yeah, that's
And
in $2,000. It costs $2,000.
That's what they imply here.
Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome, because I feel like that would let a lot more people like into the food truck market. So
Absolutely.
maybe I'll start selling some cookies or something, like drive
Hey, there you
around.
go.
and you know what? It's healthier for the
Yeah.
people working too, because
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
not standing there all day long breathing in those fumes all day.
Definitely. You know what I'm thinking? Even if the traction battery isn't enough to cook with, you could take one of those. What did we see? Like the blue eddies, and write it in the back. And then when you go to get in the back, you swap it to the front, and then you just plug in. And so even if they don't give you enough battery to do it, you can do it yourself.
You could.
As long as you go like an induction cooktop, and I'm not talking that red eye garbage that doesn't work very well. I'm talking induction. You can set the temperature. I want it to be 30 degrees C, and that's what you get. Although I don't know what you can cook at 30 degrees C, but whatever, you dial in exactly the temperature you want. And a lot of people that have a proper induction stove, they love it and they swear by it. It fits the mission. You're hauling around gas. It's not. Why bother?
I think it's a great idea. Good concept. I mean, every little step we make towards more EVs and less petrol vehicles is a good step.
Absolutely. Robert Williams says, hello, Stephanie. Eddie says he hasn't eaten from a food truck in years. Dan says, whoa, what is that? More scooter than food truck. Yeah, it's a tuk-tuk, but instead of having seats for people in the back, you have a whole food truck. It's actually bigger than a regular tuk-tuk because of that. Same footprint, but the kitchen takes up a little bit more space than two people. Watching a video I saw them plug in. Oh, that's another good idea. With it being so small and being able to get close to the building, you could do shore power.
Yeah,
regular extension cord.
you sure
well,
could.
not a regular one. I mean, heavy duty.
Right, but
yeah,
if you had you have some kind of partnership or whatever with the business that you're operating in front of or what have you, get shore power set up and then just plug in.
Yeah, or you're running an event, like say a business is having like their annual party. You pull right up to the front of their place and you plug in and they're out doing whatever it is for family day, and then you're serving up the food.
And then they can have the battery all charged up
Yep.
for plus run the food truck off of shore power.
I like that their example is a taco shop, because with that you can do with a taco shop you can do like you can have the meat and stuff cooked ahead of time, and then you can just do electric warmers. So I mean, there's plenty of ways to work this, and I think it's a great idea. So let's see what we got next on the list.
I like it a lot.
Yes. So SpaceX, they where do we want to start with them? They had 2 launches recently. They had a Starlink launch, and no, they didn't have a Starlink launch. I'm sorry. They had a commercial resupply launch. So they went to the space station with a cargo dragon, and then they did SpaceX, Sirius XM-8. So they launched a satellite for Sirius XM that is now heading to geostationary orbit. So that should be online in weeks, a month or 2.
I don't know how long it takes for it to get set up. And
the satellites don't move as fast as the rockets do.
It gets up there, it has to get in the right position and all that.
Yeah.
But still, that's great. They're getting all the contracts to launch stuff because they can do it cheaper than anybody else. Yeah. They're the only ones reusing the rockets.
Right. Speaking of that, there's a chance that they may win a contract to do aerial deployment of equipment for the military.
Yes.
Starship.
Yes. to deploy. And what's crazy about that is they would possibly be deploying, like actually taking cargo from like one part of the world to another part of the world. We're not even talking about just leaving it in orbit. We're talking about just transporting it to the other side of the world.
Yeah. Andrew says good morning from Stockholm, Sweden. And don't forget to click the like button. Thank you very much.
Hey, Andrew.
So with the military launch system, that seems interesting because they have two types of cargo drops they want. They want, one is to have the whole rocket land, deliver the cargo, and then leave. And then the other type they want is like right now where they have the parachute drops from the cargo planes. They want to do that with a rocket. That's ambitious.
That would be really interesting.
Yes. I don't know if they're going to do like Bombay doors on the Starship, because the chomper would have a little bit of a problem with that much atmosphere. And then
I don't know how they would do that. That would be real interesting.
They got $50 million to figure it out. So
what I do know is that if they figure that part out, they'll probably never show us how it's actually done, because if it's for the military, we'll never actually see it.
Not until they've got the version 2 about ready to roll out, or if they just don't think that anybody else can touch it. Yeah. Good morning, Purcell. So the other thing that came up with that was the commercial resupply. They are delivering new solar panels to the well, I should say solar cells, not really panels. They're flexible rolls. They're delivering new solar cells to the space station, and they had a successful capture right before the Sirius mission went off.
Hey, Purcell.
Hello, hello. The cicadas ran me in.
They did?
We're just talking about them earlier.
Yeah, I was in Virginia, and I was going to do a show, and it was a telltale sign when I saw dead cicadas on the ground. I'm like, this is not a good look. So I tried to stay with it, but no, it's not happening.
Oh, man.
So I left. And strangely enough, we don't have any here. No.
Oh, you don't either? Okay.
No, we don't have any in my neighborhood or anything like that. So
is your neighborhood newer than 20 years?
Yes. Well, I'm the second resident here, so maybe I think this house was built in 2002.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering about my neighborhood. It's pretty new. I was wondering if perhaps they just dug up so much dirt building the road and the houses that they just didn't make it.
But I'm happy that they're not here.
Absolutely. Now, 20 years from now, we got a whole other story, but right now we're so far pretty good.
That's true.
That doesn't mean it won't happen in the next. It was an 8-week span that they run from the first emergence to the last death.
Right.
So we still got time, and I'm hoping that we maintain it. Robert Williams says on a hike the other day he saw 27 new EVs. That's pretty cool. So do you use Sirius at all in your audio masterpiece?
Me?
Yeah.
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
Cool. Well, for those that aren't aware, Purcell's got like a phenomenal audio setup. It's like, I mean, it sounds good anywhere in the car, but it's aimed at the driver, so it sounds really good. And if you watch his videos, he had to get it recalibrated after he got his new MCU. I don't understand what they changed or how that works, but they already had his profile saved, so they were able to just reload it and then just do a minor tweak on it.
Good. You're a fan of my show. Thank you.
Yes, sir. High voltage and performance says hi, people.
Yeah, I mean, it's just whenever they removed the computer, it did a hard reset. We went back to factory reset, basically.
Oh, they reset the audio computer when they reset the main computer. Okay.
Correctly. And so the DSP was then at that point was knocked out, so the DSP didn't function. DSP is digital sound processor, by the way.
Yeah.
So to make it very in layman's term, when you up in the front of your car, you can set your audio. And your audio can be set via you just do the curve, like you put more bass, and then you kind of do a little thing that goes kind of with wrong finger, but you have more bass, and then you kind of tap it down a little bit, and you have more treble. So it looks like a small curve.
Yeah.
Well, people do that, and that's fine, but I wanted to go a little bit more. So I can basically install a 24-track equalizer in the back of my car. And that's what takes care of that equalization by itself automatically. So 6 hours of tuning, they play pink noise in my car, and they set it, save the settings on the computer. And then when I got my new MCU2, I immediately heard a difference in my audio. I'm like, this sounds like, it doesn't sound well. So I went back and they said, yep, got the settings, and ta-da, it's great.
Yep. High Voltage and Performance, they offered to take him off his Plaid Plus and put him on a regular Plaid for earlier. And I was like, don't do it. They're gonna charge you more for the full self drive. They're gonna you can have a slower car, and I'd rather just stay at the what you got on the Plaid Plus, and he agreed. Exotic Geek says DJ Purcell on wheels.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean that would kind of make sense if just to switch from Plaid Plus to Plaid if they honored the price that they had originally when you originally placed the order for your car, because of the pricing differences and the changes.
It's the same trick they always pull. You order something they don't have, and they're like, "Why'd you get this instead?"
Well, right, which some people wouldn't mind. Some people wouldn't mind taking the other order.
Yeah.
But the problem is when the people that are currently that have been waiting, when they first placed their order, the pricing was different than it is now. And it's like, well, I don't want to pay the new pricing when I locked in the older pricing model to begin with.
Yeah.
So like that doesn't make sense.
I'll take a bonus one now, and then I'll as long as you let me get my other order later. I mean, I don't have to be in the front of the line anymore, but I still want that price for everything you promised me. I don't want to get I mean, it'd be one thing if they said, "Hey, we know you ordered a long range. How would you like to get a performance now?" And we cut the price for you, which they have done in the past, but they don't do it very often. That's a better deal to me.
Yeah, that's a much better deal.
But if you ordered the Mac Daddy car and, hey, how would you like to get the next one down? Come on, guys. I know what you're trying to do, and
it's like, nah.
Like you said, some people will go for it, but
most people are just going to wait. Like, no.
Right. It's for other people, it's a slap in the face. It's like, it'd be one thing if you said, "Hey, we'll convert that to a Roadster, and you do this now." Or wasn't it for me to get a slower or less range or less performant car than the one I asked for? Unless you're canceling the one that I ordered,
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. Robert Williams was talking about the smoke on his commute. That was pretty bad. And then Eddie says he would get serious if he didn't have to pay more for Howard Stern. Yeah, it's kind of like cable. They got that bundling going on. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never paid for XM or Sirius ever.
Same.
Because I always looked at it as, why am I paying for radio?
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm just old school. I was always used to radio just being AM or FM. And because I'm so used to that paradigm and the fact that I'm not listening to over-the-air radio enough in my car for me to really make it worth it. So it's just never been my thing. I've never, ever paid for it. It's like, I've had cars where, sometimes they give you that free trial or whatever, and I'll listen to it as long as I have the free trial. And then when it runs out, oh, well, done.
So that's what mine's been, the free trials. I mean, I do pay for streaming, but that's because, I'm not at the mercy of whoever wants to play whatever they want to play and all the millions of commercials. That would be the other thing, is if SiriusXM was 100% commercial free, but the stuff I want to listen to ends up having commercials, and nothing against DJs, but the ones they pick seem to have banter that I'm not interested in.
So I have a mass communication degree.
Yeah.
You know where this is going, right?
Go ahead. You have a Sirius channel?
Way back before most of you were born, I was on the radio.
I
started radio when I was 17 in high school, and basically played, 45s. For those who don't know, those are records.
I got some right over here.
And we did that, and it was in high school. It was just fun. We had a half-an-hour show, and the thing that I wish I would have learned, I could have stayed in radio, but I was so bored on the fact of how radio waves worked, and how engineers do radio broadcasting, and then it was just so boring for me. But I went to Norfolk State University, where I ended up, graduating from. And literally, when I walked into Norfolk State, we were playing jazz, and I didn't know anything about jazz. So I'm literally just playing, like, putting the record on the needle and then doing what we call a backing out. It's like, yeah, you just heard Miles Davis, blah, 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 blah. Didn't know too much about it. But I also had a part-time job working at a commercial radio station. And this is where I wanted to inject. So commercial radio, for those who don't know, if you're listening to it, they are obligated to play mostly the top 40 songs, on the charts. So you have
heavy rotation.
You have a basic format at the top of the hour. They normally play news, and then it's about 2 or 3 minutes, and then they go into the very first song. So if you look at the top 40 songs, they play the very first song, which is on the top of the charts. At the 15th hour, 15 minutes past the hour, they play maybe the fifth song. The bottom of the hour, they'll play another top song. At 45 minutes, they'll play another top song. If you listen to a radio program long enough, you will hear the same songs after about 3 hours, no doubt.
Yep.
And then they sprinkle in the other, lesser hits.
Or requests, that sort of thing.
Like to Omar's point, listening to commercial radio now for me, I know the game, so I don't listen to it. So in my system, I don't stream at all. I play a lot of my music on USB, and so it's the songs that I want to hear, and I have over 1,000 songs, so it's the songs I want to hear, and I put them on shuffle. If I do get tired, sometimes I do go on and listen to maybe some stuff that Tesla offers, but not too often. So I'm really not down on that stuff. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm curious because it gives you all the new like tracks and songs that I feel like I would never hear otherwise. Like I don't listen to I listen to NPR like at home working, and then I feel like in the car when I want to listen to music, like that's the only way. Like listening to like our local radio stations don't have like a good variety, and so I love Sirius because then I can hear all the new songs that that would probably take like 6 months to get here and be in like a normal rotation.
So Stephanie, in the Tesla, you can, for music discovery, you can get that just with their streaming radio options that they have. So if you're streaming and you're listening to the streaming radio, and you can, it's kind of like, I want to say like Slacker or whatever, you can put your own channels, and then it'll just give you songs that are similar to that artist or what have you. But they also have like, certain hit channels that are like today's such and such hits or whatever, more recent hits in the different genres. And then you can get all the new recent music that way.
Usually costs less than XM, yeah.
And
like $9 a month or free depending on which plan you're on.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Wait, how do I get it for free?
Well, it's going to be in your Tesla. It's already there.
It's already there.
Well, it's already there in the Tesla. What you're actually paying for is the premium data subscription is what it is. So the premium data subscription gives you that, plus it gives you some other stuff, and so just as long as you keep your data subscription up in your Tesla, it'll always be available there. So you'll be able to do that.
So I'm gonna save some money.
Yeah.
You could drop XM and save some money.
There you go. And so Robert Williams says he listened on 45s, 33s, and 78s.
I know it well.
He has 3,380 songs.
Yep.
And I want to thank Wendy Early for subscribing. Thank you very much. And Eddie says they don't get your kind of music in Oregon.
It's on her Tesla. She just doesn't know that.
Well, she's waiting for them to deliver her car. They keep moving the date around on her.
That's right.
Right. Once she starts that Tesla life, she'll.
Wait, Omar, did your date get changed again?
I haven't looked at it. It was changed up. It was a few times, and every time I look at it, it's something different. So it was like 3 to 13 weeks or something like that, and then recently, they sent me an email actually, telling me to, get to know your Tesla or something like that. Click this link, and I guess it's because they were saying that because of their new protocol and how they're delivering their cars, because of COVID protocol, they're not doing the personal walk around with the person showing you everything. So I guess they sent me a link so where I can watch, I guess, videos to explain everything about the car to me. And
they're gonna drop yours off at your house.
What's that?
They're gonna drop yours off at your house.
Well, even if I go to the store to pick it up, I guess you have the option. But even if I go to the store to pick it up, they don't have their personnel giving you a personal, like, hands-on training walkthrough type of thing with the vehicle. So what they're doing is they're giving you these videos, like, so you can watch the video and get familiar with all the different ins and outs of the car before you even get there.
Okay.
And then they also,
I didn't get an email.
So once I got that email, I didn't even watch the video, but once I got the email, I checked my Tesla account, and they did change my dates. It said from the 14th to the 30th. It's now the range. So instead of 3 to 13 weeks, now it's like, oh, this 2-week period here.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing that because they're like, hey, we're trying to get this out by the end of the quarter.
Exactly.
But what's funny is I'm now in no hurry, and I'm actually waiting till July. I want to wait till July to get my car because there's some new tax incentives that are going to become available in my state starting in July, because my state has this weird fiscal year that starts in July. And so I'm just going to wait until July. So I'm in no hurry.
Yeah.
Well, they pushed mine back. My earliest date is now June 18th, but I feel like I don't even know why I keep checking that, because it just gets pushed back more, then I'll jump up, get pushed back, but I didn't get an email or anything. So
yeah, you'll get an email if they push it way up. It's like next week, because they'll say, hey,
my house, I have to pick it up. They won't deliver.
I think that's probably for the better. I like the convenience of the home delivery, but what I don't like is that when you do it on site, you have the opportunity to point out, hey, there's a scratch there, there's a dent there. Not that that's gonna happen, but there's a chance. And if you can do it on the lot, they know that you didn't do it. Versus at home, they're like, oh, you drove it around and that happened. No, I didn't even unlock the car yet.
Right. Yeah,
but,
hopefully,
right.
Comes before I change my mind.
But see, I rather, and the other thing about picking it up at the lot, which I prefer, is that they know that, okay, I can take a walk around and I can look at the vehicle before I finalize and accept delivery, and I can always just turn around and walk away. So it's like,
if necessary,
you're gonna make right, you're gonna do this or whatever, and if I decide no, this isn't right, and I don't want to accept it, I can not accept it at that time and walk away and say, okay, you guys make it right. It's already here at the service center where you're going to do the repair or whatever you have to do anyway to make it right. So I'll pick it up after you make right.
Yeah. And then the bonus is both of you guys are getting the cars with the castings. I don't know if you're going to have the front castings, but you definitely have the rear castings. And Elon has said that each piece that they turn into one piece is a lot more rigid and easier to get right the first time. No chance to have it messed up. So I think that you guys will be some of the ones who get that flawless car without even having to look at it twice, which is pretty cool. Cobra told you, says, good morning, everyone. Good morning. And Robert William says that internet radio plus DAB radio FM. Yes, the DAB radio is pretty cool. The digital stuff, I like it. So on this topic of SpaceX, they have bumped up the engines on the booster for the Super Heavy, and it's going to have 29 engines on this Hawaii run. So that'll be impressive.
29 engines?
29 engines on the booster, and then I don't know if it's going to have the full 6 on the Starship, 6 or 9 on the Starship.
I think it's 6.
Yeah, I don't know that it'll need the vacuum engine, so it might only still have 3, because it's just got to come in for the landing. We'll see. Well, no, it might need them, because if it boosts up to space, then it would be nice to have the more efficient engines in space. But I'm excited to see what they come up with, and
it's going to be interesting.
Yes,
things are starting to get real interesting on that front.
Absolutely. I like how this thing keeps changing the layout. So then we saw a presentation by AMD where they basically claimed that they're the ones who are doing the chip for the new SNX, and the specs match up. So it seems that that's what's happening, and that's exciting because it's the same chip that's in the new PlayStation 5. And a couple folks keep saying, why not the Xbox? Why not the Xbox? Well, the Xbox is faster than the Model 3 and the Model S and the Model X. So it's it's within the realm. The PlayStation's also a little bit faster, but not much. It's in that same profile, so that's pretty exciting to me.
Well, I'm still trying to get a PS5, so I'm gonna leave it there.
All you gotta do is get a new Model S. You got a new PS5 right there.
I think we had that discussion.
I know.
Ago, right?
Get your wife a Model S and then take hers out for a spin. That's bad financial advice. It's still cheaper to get the PS5.
Yes, I know. Yes.
Oh. Drive Tesla Canada had another set of photos of the new Model S's getting ready to go. They had a lot of over 1,000 that they had in this particular shot. And then model owners of Austin showed a Model 3 Police Edition. There we go. So we got the Police Edition.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'll mute that. It sounds like a Euro siren to me, or a fire truck. I didn't share the audio because I wasn't sure if there's music. All right, I'm gonna stop that because I didn't give anybody a flashing lights warning. Sorry.
Was that that was what, a Model 3?
That was a
or is it Model Y?
It looks like a Model Y to me.
It looks like a Y. Yeah.
That's definitely a Y. I'm looking at the wheels now. That's a Model Y.
Okay, so that's a Y. Okay.
Yeah.
I think
the Model Y is a better choice.
I think the Y is a perfect vehicle for that.
Yeah, because it gives you guys that higher seating position, and there's room for utility belts and everything else. And
not to mention, if you outfit it with the cage in the back, it's easier to get people in and out of it if you have to, transport prisoners in the back.
Yeah.
So the
Y, I think,
makes a lot more sense.
Is it more common now to call a wagon, or to just put them in the back of the officer's car?
I guess every police department, every place is different. But I know for Atlantic City, for example, they it's more common to just have the vehicle itself ready and outfitted to transport, and the officers transport themselves.
Yeah. Robert Williams still can't get a GPU. Throw them in there. Yeah. The GPUs are, oh man, they keep releasing new GPUs and they keep selling out
immediately.
Yes.
Immediately. All the crypto miners keep sucking them all up.
Yes. Yeah, they do. So this one will trigger Eddie a little bit. Rivian is talking about an IPO of up to $70 billion. Or people around Rivian. I don't know if it's actually Rivian. What do y'all think of that?
I mean, they probably need to raise some money to start real production. I mean, they have, of course, they made a few vehicles, but to actually start mass production, you need a factory.
They got a factory. They've been in business since 2009.
Yeah, but how many vehicles have they made?
None.
Just a handful, right? So,
well, I mean, none for customers. So none.
Exactly, none for regular customers, just a handful. And I think for them to really get actual production going, they probably need to raise some capital to really get the actual production actually starting. Which
they were supposed to be doing deliveries this month, and now it's been pushed back to July.
And it's going to be pushed back again.
Maybe. I attended one of their owner launch events in New York City, 2 years ago now, and wow, felt like it was imminent. So yeah, it's been 2 years now.
Well, it's hard to get a startup for a car company. Just look at Tesla's footprint, right?
Right.
I found out about Tesla in late 2013, and I wasn't a shareholder till late 2014. But I know friends of mine who bought Tesla stock at $2, $3, $4 back then. So I'm always tempted to try to jump on something like an initial IPO.
Yeah.
It could be good or bad, but I think I have to give them a little credit. At least they're showing some vehicles, and
yeah.
See.
So for comparison, Tesla was founded in 2003 and had their first launch in 2008, and Rivian was founded in 2009, and we're waiting.
Still waiting. But see, now the problem is the timing. So they wanted to start delivery of vehicles this month, got pushed back to next month. The problem is that right now, everybody is having supply issues, right? So getting hold of all the parts, every piece of that puzzle that they need to mass produce these vehicles is gonna be so extremely difficult for them. That's why I say it's probably going to get pushed back again. I don't think it's going to happen in July, because if you're a manufacturer, a chip manufacturer, right, and you have Ford and Tesla and everybody else coming at you, and then you have Rivian that you're supposed to be supplying for too, you're going to look at it and say, okay, these are the people that have the biggest orders in. I'm going to try to supply them first because they're giving me the most money. And this little guy over here that's just this startup. Okay, they put in 10,000 orders. Well, I'm going to supply this 100,000 over here first, or this million over here, or this 500,000 over here. I'm not worried about this 10,000 order over there.
And that's what we saw time and time again with the Roadster and the Model S, even the Model X. In fact, the start of the Model 3, they just kept getting pushed back because they were the small fry. And like, I could fill this Ford order, I could fill this GM order, or I could take care of these people who are always constantly on the death store, about to go out of business. I mean, I understand the choice that they made.
Right, manufacturers are like, you know what? I'm gonna keep my tried and true big time automaker over here happy, because I know I'm going to be doing business with them for years to come, right? Ford and GM and they're going to be putting in real big orders, and they're going to be doing it year after year, big orders. This startup company over here, I don't know, I'm not too sure. Maybe they're going to be around for a year or two. Maybe they're going to be around forever, but their order's much smaller, so I'm going to go with them over here first. It's a business decision.
I'm excited about Rivian, though.
Me too.
I'm going to invest but I think I'm mostly going to up my investment in Ford, because Ford has a huge stake in Rivian, and I think that they're going to benefit more than the return you'll see on Rivian anytime soon, if they're even able to get the cars to market when they say they will. But I think Ford is probably going to be the biggest winner.
Disclaimer: we're just 4 folks on the internet. We're not financial advisors or.
Definitely, but I mean, Ford did make a $500 million investment into Rivian, so
they did. So take anything that you're thinking about from us, take it to your financial advisor, and then act on that. But don't do it just because we said. If we do, that's on you.
So I'm excited.
Go ahead, Stephanie. Sorry.
I'm actually hopeful and excited for Rivian. I really do hope that they're successful and they're able to do it, because the more players in the market is, like I said, competition is best for consumers. And as a consumer, I want them to be successful. I want all these different EVs to be successful.
Yeah, I also agree. I think they're gonna do very, very well. It looks like they've figured out what they need to do. Eddie says we'll see some Rivians in 2025. Speaking of, there were a couple of the Rivian van delivery vans spotted throughout the country last week, so that's exciting. And as a point of comparison, Blue Origin was founded in September of 2000, and SpaceX was founded in May 6th of 2002. So he seems to have a habit of way outclassing his competitors to market. So maybe this is a normal pace for Rivian. And I also found out this week that that Canoe was actually an offshoot from Faraday Future, which was exciting and disappointing at the same time, because Faraday Future is another one of these ones that's been starting up forever. And but it looks like this is a cheaper, more realistic product to come up to market with, the Canoe, and they're going to build it in micro factories, just like Arrival. So I think between Arrival and Canoe, we should see something on the road in Europe or the US.
Well, Faraday Future had a beautiful design.
It was, but I mean, for the price of the Hummer,
it just.
Yeah, I mean, at least with the Hummer, I know I could take it somewhere and get it serviced in a year. I don't know that the company.
Well, no, I'm not talking about the Canoe, but I'm just talking about the original Faraday Future, the FM.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that 9.1.
Yeah.
In fact, that car, I don't know if it was this week or last week, that one got an upgrade to the rear seat display of, was it 40 inches or 27 inches, something like that? Although, unless I'm getting chauffeured around like in China, I don't know that I would need a big screen in the back seat for me. I mean, I definitely don't think the kids need unless they're doing virtual school. I don't think they need a telematic suite to do video conferencing with. They just need the screen to play their games and watch TV. Robert Williams saw another EV Amazon van and a Ford EV van. Interesting. So it's probably the European Transit Connect version, and then I don't know what Amazon's using over there for their EVs. They don't have many EVs over here that aren't Rivians. Yep. So I mean, if the Rivian IPO happens and it's at a price I can afford, and it happens when I have some play money, I'll probably buy either a handful of shares or a partial share. We talked about the Tesla burger. What do you guys think about that per sale and stuff while I load the next article?
What was the Tesla? I apologize.
Tesla burger, their restaurant situation.
So
he's so gimmicky sometimes. You know? I had to do a double take when you said burger. I'm like, did you really say that? That's why I'm like, what?
Yeah. Welcome to Tesla Burger, home of Tesla Burger.
Well, the vision that he had years ago was that, you know, at Superchargers that they would do this whole burger thing, and they would he was going to do like almost like like Sonic, like the 50s theme, people coming out on roller skates delivering your burger to your car type of thing or whatever.
I mean,
beef burger now?
Say again?
Is it a beef burger?
Well, I'm hoping that they'll have a variety of proteins and that I can pick a plant protein myself.
If I gotta have vegan leather in my car, he should not be serving.
So it's probably.
Can you imagine that's what the PETA person does during this year's conference? That better not be a beef burger.
I mean, seriously though, like there's so many good options for sustainable food.
Yeah. So it might be sustainable. Here's the thing.
Yeah, especially with his brother running a virtual.
The trademark that he did was for a restaurant. It didn't necessarily mean that it had to be a beef burger or anything like that. So we don't know. We actually don't know what their plans are. We don't know what their offerings are going to be. I can't imagine them being in this space, knowing their customer base. I can't imagine them not offering vegan options. Like I can't imagine them not having, you know, a Beyond Burger meat or Impossible meat burger or something like that. I can't imagine them not offering something like that. Maybe chicken, maybe fish, whatever.
Kimball Musk meat.
Come up with their own, their own plant-based.
I'm sorry, he doesn't advertise. So how would he advertise a word of mouth like us? You know, we are the guys who would do the word of mouth and selling for him. But I think it's too gimmicky. I mean.
Well, I think it would only be at Superchargers, right? So he would only probably put them in certain locations. It'd be a small offering or whatever. It's not like he's not like trying to compete with McDonald's and go, you know, international like crazy gangbusters big. It's probably just like, oh, at a Supercharger you have you now have another option.
Actually, he could go international with put it at every Supercharger.
Well, it could be international, yes, but I mean. I just don't think it'd be a type of thing where people are specifically looking for that.
That would be interesting if that's what gets people into cars. They come by for the burgers and they come out with the Model 3.
I mean, when you said that, I was just thinking about the so-called fast charging with the batteries. Remember that? That was a.
They did it. They did it. You had to have an appointment and it worked, but nobody wanted it, so they closed it.
There you go.
Well, at the time,
hopefully we get to experience this one.
Well, at the time, remember at the time when they were doing the battery swap thing, all their cars were still free supercharging, and with the battery swap, you had to pay, and people were just like, "Well, am I going to bother to pay to save a few minutes? Now forget it." Yes. So, you know, now that majority of people have to pay for supercharging, had they offered that option now, it may have been more popular than it was back then.
Not me. I still get free supercharging. So thus, I canceled the Tesla burger too. I mean, that's just not me. I mean,
I hope I get to taste this one before he closes it.
Most of the superchargers are already on leased ground that has restaurants on it.
Right.
Yeah, that might be interesting. Like especially like the one at the Steak and Shake in Augusta. That'll be a hard sell.
Or even a Wawa, you can go in there and get food from Wawa, like
yeah, the
Wawas. Yeah, the Wawa sheets.
All the ones at the hotels.
Farms,
Yep, Royal Farms. Yep.
Yep.
Well, obviously, this is probably just going to be on the freestanding ones, or the ones where it's like the one in Delaware, for instance. That could very well be like he could have a Tesla burger stand inside of the food court.
He could have a Tesla truck. He could have a truck.
Just a food truck right there, so you don't have to walk all the way in.
Have a food truck. There you go.
Yep. I agree on the leather seats, Eddie. After trying out the vegan seats on the Tesla, I have no reason to ever go back. Vegan, gluten free, toad in the hole. I'm not familiar with.
That's a British thing.
It is. That's one I haven't heard yet. So the Tesla Model Y overtook the Model 3 in April global EV sales. So the Model 3 is currently number 1 in 2021, but now that the Model Y has overtaken it for a month, there's a chance that this could be the new trend. Elon already told us this at several shareholder events. He's like, "Hey, Model Y is going to be the best-selling car," and it keeps proving it time and time again.
Well, that form factor is a more popular form factor. People
Worldwide.
want the crossover SUV versus the sedan
compact crossover
model.
Yeah.
The compact crossover is way more popular than a sedan.
It's just because the Model X is crossover, but it's huge and it's expensive. So, but this is like affordable, and I think it's the way to go. Cobra told you. Thank you for subscribing.
Although I still think the Model S is the nicest looking car they make.
I agree. I just can't ride in it for as long anymore. So a couple folks pointed out that 7-Eleven is going to be offering 500 charging ports by the end of 2022. I happen to have an article from TechCrunch here. So it looks like they're using it looks like a ChargePoint charger branded for them, or at least whoever they're buying them from is the same place that ChargePoint buys theirs from. Doesn't work on Tesla natively, but
Well, I like it. They see the light. They see. I mean, they see the writing on the wall. They see what's happening. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I had to get a Tesla, I'd get a Model 3. Yeah. But that's the beauty of it, is that there's so many choices now, and they're only continuing to grow. Even Mazda is actually going to put out a real EV, not a compliance car. It's not as compelling as the competition, but if Zoom, who was never looking at it, and Lamborghini, who was also never looking at it, are now doing...
Well, Lamborghini's only looking at it because they realized that the performance of the instantaneous torque.
They got whooped. By.
It's beating and whipping their butt.
Yeah, they got whooped by who is it again? The name was on
the Rimac.
The Rimac, yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, and you saw the new Rimac? That thing
is sick.
But out of EV would be hot. Yes, I agree.
Have you seen the price of the new Rimac?
I have not, actually. Everybody conveniently doesn't say the price. Probably for a reason.
Right. So, if I had, a few $1 million to blow on a car,
yes.
I'd probably still just get a Roadster.
Right. All right, so I've got one that's local to me. Let me get the Zoom straight. And share this one. So Chesterfield County is talking about how they've got a new fleet of school buses getting leaner and greener for the start of the 2021 school year. They bought 2 Thomas Julie EVs, and if you zoom in on the pictures there, you can actually see nothing like an engine, just a battery box, motors. And then BYD this week also got a couple of, looks like they got CCS on board. BYD is also coming on the scene with a couple of electric school buses. Their side stripes don't seem to match what we use here in America, though, where either that or their bus is larger than it looks, because this is the top of the seat. This is the bottom of the seat, and then this is the floor. So that way, when emergency workers are cutting into the bus, they can tell where the kids are. So, but on the BYD, they didn't seem. Let me see if I can't just find this BYD electric school bus.
The tires look a little weird there.
I think that's just the angle, because at the other angles it seemed fine. Okay, so yeah, this is the BYD bus. I guess it is normal. The angle I saw must have just been off. But it looks like they just took their city bus and then... Oh, wait, it stopped sharing. Oh, it's a new tab, that's why. I'll learn this thing eventually. So the BYD bus, I guess it must have been the angle of the picture I saw that this didn't look right, but it looks fine here. I think it was this piece was throwing me off on the picture I saw. Mm-hmm. But it looks like they took one of their city buses, painted it yellow, and then put the school stuff on it. Not that it's a bad thing, because more EVs, especially the worst polluters of them all, and especially around young lungs.
Well, you know that's a prototype, so that might come out in the final design.
It probably is, but BYD makes so many buses that I think that this will be close enough to final, because they make a lot of buses. But so many young lungs, like you got all these folks that are already more susceptible to asthma, and then you got them breathing in just raw diesel particulates for hours in the beginning of and end of their day, and then if they aren't the first stop, like if they're in a dense enough area, there's enough buses that go by, it's not necessarily theirs. Then they've got all that coming off the road, and this is the right move to have more EVs.
I grew up when it was natural just to see smoke coming out from a tailpipe. I hate to say that, but that's what it was in the 70s. I mean, that meant for sure your car was working, because if you didn't have that, coming out your tailpipe, you're like, what's going on?
It's running too hot.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean, there was nothing new to see blue smoke coming out from a tailpipe. I mean, that's how it was back in the days when I grew up. I'm dating myself, so I'm going to say in the early 2000s. Just
kidding. Sure. So Omar, Stephanie, and I, we testified to the EPA about the clean air standards on Tuesday, right? Wednesday. And that was one of the points that I brought up. Huh?
I say congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
That was one of the points that I brought up in my speech, is that because of my age, I have not known the effects of leaded gasoline on my system, other than avgas. But there aren't that many airplanes I'm hanging around the tailpipe on. So, and so I pointed out that the regulations do work if they're enforced correctly and if they are sensibly deployed. And so no leaded gas, boom. I don't have the neurodegenerative effects of lead smoke that all of the people who came before me do have to worry about. And like you said, when you grew up, the smoke was nothing. Everybody had it. And now, if you see smoke coming out of a car, you're like, that thing's about to blow. What's wrong with it?
If you missed the ice cream truck, just follow the blue smoke. I mean, that was...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not being sarcastic.
I believe you.
When I say that. It was a thing back then. The ice cream truck would just go speeding down the road and like, oh, everybody running after it. Yeah. But again, congratulations. I know testifying before anybody is tough. I've seen it many times to the place where I work. So thank God y'all didn't have the power of being in person and under the hot lights, because that's a different story when you're in person.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad it was virtual.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for it.
I didn't even have to take off from work.
I just took a little lunch break.
Yep.
Eddie says, that's probably why he has asthma so bad. Exactly. And that's when you look at the way that they structured where people could live and what went near them back when, still to this day, but here it's more inertia than legal. But back then it was legal and required. And when you look at the way the pollution was, that is why so many folks have asthma, heart disease, blood issues, breathing issues. And that's what we're fighting against. Robert Williams says his dad used to drive them. I'm assuming school buses. Yeah, over 600 new cases of asthma. And the PM 2.5, yeah, it's... And trains. Yeah, the trains, I don't know why the trains aren't electric now. I mean, I know they're diesel electric, but I don't know why they don't just... I know it's expensive, but why don't you just electrify it, and then your trains get cheaper? Because now all they need is the electric motor. They don't need all that diesel maintenance. They don't need the fuel. They don't need as much oil. And then when they stop, instead of throwing it away as heat, they could dump it back into the rails, and it could power the next train, or the city that they're running down the mountain next to could be completely powered by train brakes. Mm-hmm. It's a little expensive, I understand, but it's a lot easier to do this one time than have to keep putting it in every individual vehicle, especially when you look at the externalities of the costs for the air pollution. Eddie says he also remembers the tailpipe smoke. All right, so yeah, the BYD school buses. The Tesla Life pointed out, that's a show I do with some folks. Usually the same two folks, Mark and Patrick. They pointed out that the Texas bid to impose state tax credit on EVs fails. For now. Gavin Newsom, or not Gavin Newsom, sorry, wrong guy. The other guy, Governor Abbott, pointed out that he will be back for the EV taxes and the voter suppression, but not to put Tesla on the books. So, come on, guys, why did you pick this state?
I don't even understand that. Like, Texas try to entice Tesla to come put their factory there in Texas and everything, and then they want to keep the antiquated laws on the books to not allow Tesla to sell directly in their state.
Yeah.
Like, what? I mean, for me, if I was in charge of Tesla, that would have been like one of the stipulations. Like, if I'm going to come to your state, you're going to have to allow me to sell in your state. I'm not going to come to a state where I can't even sell my product in your state.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to me.
There's something I didn't. I was like, well, okay, so maybe they understand what they're doing. Maybe they've got some sort of agreement that's going to happen. But then when they did it, I was like, see, I told you so. And I don't like that feeling if I told you so, because it's like a train wreck. You're watching it happen in slow motion, and it's like, why? I told you. And it's not just me, but it made no sense. And so it's also trying to happen somewhere else. Because a car dealership is suing Tesla and a town because they don't want Tesla to sell directly to its customers. That is in East Hartford. Yeah, they are trying to say that it's against the state constitution for Tesla to sell directly to customers. But I mean, seriously, if your method is so good, like you guys keep saying it is, then prove it. Compete on the merits. Don't.
Well, I mean, it's how do you prove that? Oh yeah, our method is better. That we need it. That you should have a middleman.
Yeah.
Like, how is that better? Oh, because I have to pay a little bit of an upcharge. Like, what? How is that better?
What value add do you provide? I mean, at least when I personally was selling cars, I would they would get a good lesson on how to use their car. I would find them exactly what they were looking for. I would fight to get them a better trade-in. But I didn't add 10% value. I added value, but it wasn't 10%. I took it because that's how I made my living at the time. But
right.
If your way is better, prove it. And they keep saying it's better, and then this isn't the way to prove it. This is the exact opposite of what you're saying. If you're so good and you need legal protection to do it, that means that you're actually the worst option if consumers aren't going to choose you.
I think dealerships are good on the service end. Like, if you need service, and and it's funny because it's really hit or miss. It depends on the dealership. But some of them have really good customer service. Some of them are really good, especially if you need to bring it in for anything, to have any repairs done or anything like that. But the problem is, as we move to EVs, you need less and less maintenance anyway, especially routine maintenance, that it just doesn't really add much value.
But the shops aren't going anywhere, just the stores.
Right, but they're linked, right? So because
they don't have to be.
But currently they are. So dealerships, bread and butter right now, of course, is their service department. They make much more money off of service and off of used vehicles than they do off of selling new vehicles. Absolutely. That's just the way their business model works. And I think that as we move forward into the future, I think we're going to see more and more of the direct sales model being a better sales model initially for new cars. However, I think dealerships are going to get more and more into the used car market because they may be better at that. So maybe they just have to transition and change how they're doing things. And I don't know. It's just my opinion. It's adapt. It's either every time there's some kind of shift or change or paradigm, it's like either adapt or fail and go away. That's what's going to end up having to happen.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Blockbuster. They failed to adapt, so they went away.
What's it?
I like the dealership model. I think that it provides like an important connection for the people that aren't going to do everything online. Like, I think that if you're just looking at Tesla's like consumer, those, in my mind at least, those people are they're buying those cars not because they're luxurious, but because of the tech. So they're probably overall just more tech savvy than the average consumer. And if the ultimate goal is to get everybody into an electric, you have to bring along those people that are not going. I mean, think about like the debate to even get QR codes in grocery stores. There's people that don't have, cell phone data, or they don't have like smartphones, or they just are tech averse, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like the dealerships, like they're like, a car is a big purchase, and I think that having somebody that is going to walk you through, that's going to be available in your neighborhood, and that
me.
well, the thing is, you could still have that,
and
like Tesla, even Tesla has, stores.
Let me tell you, Tesla is like, if you don't like it, don't buy it. Like, there's no
that
like,
part. Yeah, that part.
Yeah. So,
like, at least for the dealerships like that I've been to, there's a vested interest in the salespeople to meet your needs and to show you this feature, that feature. Tesla's like, look, lady, this is what we got. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. Like, they don't care. And that's a huge turnoff for a lot of people. And I just think, like, ultimately, you can't have one business model that's going to serve everybody if the goal is to get everybody into an EV. And so I actually like that there's multiple.
Right. So why not allow both business models to exist? Like, I don't see a reason why there's such a heavy fight to say, no, we have to protect the consumers. You can't have this business model. You can't have sales directly to a consumer.
I mean,
like that part doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm against right there. It's like I don't mind dealerships. I love dealerships.
I'm not against
what I don't like is that that you're forcing a company to use a middleman. Like, if I start a car company up and I don't want to deal with customers myself, and I choose to start up a dealership franchise, that's my choice. I don't want you to force me to have to use a group of middlemen if my product does. If I have something even simpler than a Tesla, and I don't think that I need any help with it. I'm going to have third-party repairs, and I'm going to put the cars out there. I'm going to drop them off at the customer's house via UPS Auto. UPS does ship cars. I shouldn't have to then have a dealer network and build out inventory and all that. But if I want to, that should be my choice.
No, and I definitely agree that people should have a choice and have both business models to choose from. I just am
like, for example, riding
value in dealerships and that whole experience, I think needs to stay for at least the short term.
So, for example, if I wanted to buy a riding lawnmower, right? There's companies that produce riding lawnmowers, right? And they usually will go, have partnerships with places that retail their product. So I can go to Home Depot, Lowe's, one of those big box stores, or Ace Hardware or wherever, and buy this thing through one of their partners. However, if they want to sell directly to the consumers, they can. You can buy directly from the manufacturer and they can ship it to you. Now, that's allowable on something that you're riding on, right? A riding lawnmower. But yet, it's not allowed. They don't want to allow that for a car.
Like I get Charmin delivered to my house every month, and I don't have to go to the grocery store to do it. I'm not. I mean, I could go to the grocery store if I wanted, but they're allowed to sell to me directly.
To toilet paper purchase.
It's the same thing.
Wait, I think my analogy. Wait, I'm sticking with something that you're riding on, right? So I think my analogy,
yours is
right?
This is a good analogy.
Before you buy a car, hopefully you're doing like a little more research than like, is it soft and get the job done? Like,
oh, okay. So in my
somebody could get hurt or killed on a motorcycle, on a riding lawnmower.
On my example, okay, if I'm going to go buy a riding lawnmower, it's not necessarily a cheap purchase, and I'm going to do my research and figure out which one I want, right? So I do my research ahead of time, figure out which one I want, and I'm going to purchase it, just like I would a car.
Yep.
And
so if you chose John Deere,
why shouldn't I have the same options?
Right.
If I'm buying a lawnmower or if I'm buying a car.
Right. And so like with John Deere, they've chose to go with dealerships. But if you wanted the eco ride-on lawnmower, they can sell you direct. They have dealerships too, but they also will ship you direct, straight from their website on a truck to your house.
Right. Exactly.
They go on with both. They're not roped into either one.
Exactly.
Yeah. So speaking of sales, the Tesla Model 3 in France has overtaken the Renault Zoe as the best-selling EV in France.
Vive la France.
Vive la France. And then I mentioned earlier about some folks spotting the Rivian van. So Omar of Holmar's blog, not the Omar here in the room with us, saw the new Rivian van at a gas station.
Oh, could it get closer and look at the? I mean, that's kind of far off.
You'll have to take it up with Omar.
And not me, because I would have got a closer picture. I would have took multiple pictures and I would have been closer.
Chase him down.
Most fanboys will follow the vehicle.
Yes.
Well, the camera on my cell phone has a pretty good zoom, so.
Right. So the Tesla Model S Plaid has broken the quarter-mile record, according to Jay Leno, of all people.
Because Jay Leno's that car expert. He has
he has connections.
Every kind of car. He's such a car enthusiast all around.
Yeah. So on the 13th of May, Drive Tesla Canada reported that the Model S Plaid versus the Bugatti Chiron Sport. I don't know how to say it correctly. I know I call it the Bugatti Chiron, and I've seen people say Chiron, and I've seen
Chiron or however you can pronounce it.
So the Bugatti Sport, it did 9.4 seconds at a trap speed of 158 miles per hour, and according to Mr. Leno, the Model S Plaid completed the quarter mile at Framso Raceway at 9.247 seconds at 152.09 miles per hour.
So that's that race.
Now, was that the Plaid or Plaid Plus?
That's the Plaid, just a regular Plaid. So, can you imagine the Plaid Plus on Roadster SpaceX?
No.
It's going to be unfathomable.
The Roadster is going to be ridiculous. I don't even know. I mean,
So,
do you have to be like a fighter pilot in order to be able to drive the Roadster? Like, right? You have to train for that for months and months.
You gotta wear your G suit. So Jay says we're talking a 4-door car with the air conditioning on! ! And then Elon Musk tweeted, Jay Leno confirms Model S Plaid scored a 9.247 second, 152.09 miles per hour at Bakersfield drag strip. So if that's not official enough, I think you got it.
9.24 quarter mile. That is supercar speeds. Like,
yes.
On a 4-door sedan.
Yeah, because my ex only does it in does 9 in a 1/8 mile. So that is something.
That's under a 10-second car. I mean, that's sick.
I'm excited. I'm saying here's when you buy a dealer, you have to show your job, show if you're buying a direct and no license has been. It's like you're buying your fruit and veg, and the meat man is the middleman. Yeah, but at least with the meat, I kind of understand the meat is that it's a safety issue, but again, I think that if they've got the right licenses, the farmers market can actually sell on their own. So if the farmer actually wants to be a butcher too, then depending on the locations, I don't know. It's just that one's stretching it even more than my toilet paper example. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Where was I? Oh, so we were talking about the Model S Plaid. That's cool, and I'm excited. Can't wait to ride in one. And then Tesla has done another recall. They did the Model 3 and Model Y brake caliper bolts for some vehicles. So that's just a matter of when you need the physical brakes, you want them to work. So
that's a safety issue, though.
Yeah, it's a recall, safety recall. So it's only 6,000 cars, but if you're in the group, you should probably set up a mobile service appointment to get your brake bolts adjusted. A buddy of mine was in the Model 3 group for the upper control arms, so he's getting those done next week, and I asked him to just, on his mobile service ticket, I just said, hey, put in, am I in the brake recall group, and if so, while you're in there, fix my brakes. And he did, and it was over the weekend, so we'll see what they tell him when they open up on Monday. But they'll probably say either A, you're in there and we got you, or A, no, you're not one of the 6,000, you're good to go. Yeah. Joker said
every vehicle manufacturer goes through these things. They have recalls. There's recalls every day on different vehicles. So
yeah, Ford had one last week. Yeah, everybody has.
It happens.
As long as they do them, you're good. If they don't do them, that's when we have a problem.
Right.
Some joker said braking Tesla brakes work fine. They might pop your tires. I mean, yeah, if you don't get it addressed. But at this point now, they've done the thing. They've done the recall. They're a little slow to reach out to people, personally, but they'll get you. And if they don't, if you ask them, they'll take care of it. It's just a simple. This is not a me ragging on Tesla. This is a me saying, FYI, if you have a Model 3 or Model Y, find out if you're in that group, and if you are in that group, set up a mobile appointment. And since it's a recall, the work should be free. Yeah, I mean, it's just that with the us being all Tesla owners, and the majority of our content being Musk Co, I figured it my job to share it. Teslarati is tweeting about Elon Musk believing that his products are popular enough that the customers can see through the media smear campaign. He says enough people have the product.
Again,
I think he's being too idealistic. Go ahead.
That to me is a little arrogant. That's coming off like that's kind of proving Anonymous's point that he's a little arrogant at this point. Like he's drinking too much of his own Kool-Aid or in his own bubble, where he's not seeing, all of what everybody else is seeing. So I dispel myths all the time when I'm talking to people who, when they only see certain headlines or only see what's in the mainstream news media, and then they don't really know or understand exactly what's going on. And yeah, I just think that's he really needs to not just become so complacent, thinking that, oh no, all of my fans will dispel the rumors, and enough people know about it now that I don't have to worry about it. No, you do have to worry about it.
I think he's just so averse to the idea of a PR person, which I don't understand. I wouldn't say arrogant necessarily, but I'd say naive. I mean, does he not realize how bad people are coming for him right now? I mean, he's got his fingers in like 20 different pies of just major trillion-dollar industries. They all want to see him go out of business. And so they're running smear campaigns, and then you've just got people who just hate him as a person that are also helping to spread lies. I don't think he realizes how bad the situation is with the anti-Tesla, anti-SpaceX, Boring Company, all of them. I mean, he is hitting people in the pocketbook, big people who don't like to be humbled.
Just ask the shareholders that.
Yeah, ask the shareholders.
Yeah,
we're down from where we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't give financial advice, so let's move on.
What do you think, Steph, about the anti-Tesla sentiment and Musk thinking we'll take care of it for him?
I think people I think a lot of Tesla people feel like they have like a personal like responsibility to try to dispel as many like, you know, falsities as they can, and
we sell the car.
Annoying
Yeah.
sometimes. Like, you don't have to be so pro Tesla. Like, there's like he engages in nonsense. Like, there's nonsense related to the cars. Like, I mean, it's a product. Like, it's not a religion.
Yeah, there are some toxic fans out there, but on the whole, I would say most of them are just either excited about the product, the concept, or the company. Um, but yeah, the folks who make it their life identity, they really need to be careful how they come across, because it's like another group of enthusiasts in a political situation that we've saw the last couple of years. If you let it get out of control, he doesn't know who you are. He's not going to come to your aid if you take it too far and do something foolish and ruin your life over it. But yeah, if somebody's saying something like factually wrong, you say, "Hey, no, it's actually this." Okay, that's fine. But if if somebody says I don't like it personally, it's not my style, and then you like start calling them names, berating them, doxing them, I mean that's different. But thankfully, that is a super small minority, and if you do see that behavior, call the people out on it, because if they know it's not acceptable behavior, they're not necessarily going to feel it's okay to try, this stuff. But his idea that us normal people are gonna just go to bat for him. I mean, yeah, we probably will, but that's not my job. I'm an owner and an enthusiast. I should be able to just come out and do what I want with the car. I shouldn't feel obligated to correct people unless that's something I choose to do. It shouldn't be something that's expected of me. And I don't actually feel that way because, yeah. But there are some people who do feel, that this must be corrected because there's nobody out here to speak the truth. I mean, I also don't like lies being out there, but I don't. It's just it could be done so much better, and it won't cost a lot. That's what I got to say about that. So Robert William asked if the record was from a standing start. Yes, it is, and that was at a drag strip, so that most definitely includes the 1 foot of rollout because of the way the sensors are set up on the drag strip, and yeah, the 1 foot of rollout because once you break the beam, then it starts. And but other than that, it's real numbers. You just go to drag strip with that car, and you can do it again. Eddie points out like the EV fires. Yeah, so people seem to think that all EVs catch fire all the time. I mean, there have been under 100 fires probably on all makes and models, and yet we hear about them way more than we hear about any fossil fire. And the combustion cars, they are catching fire every day. We're talking 10 to 20, 30 cars in the U.S. alone. And we almost never hear about it unless somebody dies or is severely injured in it. And even then, they might just say it was a crash. They wouldn't even say that it was a crash with a 5 alarm fire that that did the damage. And Robert Williams says his old car was a 13-second 7-seat Vauxhall. That's cool. And saw it on Facebook Marketplace. 2,000 more you sold it for. Yeah, it's a good car. Sometimes we'll appreciate in value. And yeah, you especially have had some of the cult members. And I'm sorry that you've had to deal with that. So Tesserati points out that Giga Berlin's battery plant is going to consume far less water than expected. So they didn't have to set the cardboard forest on fire. What I'm referring to there is last week we talked about this group that claimed to be an environmentalist group that set fire to destroy the power lines to Giga Berlin because they said that Tesla is not as environmental as they claim to be. And, well, so that enthusiasm, that fanaticism, that cultishness works both ways. It's both on the side of some of the Tesla people and on the side of some of the smear campaigns, some of the folks who are getting their industry taken away from them. Come on, guys. These are just products. These are just jobs. You can find another job. You can buy another car. You don't need to kill people or destroy property over it. Get with the program. Yeah, so I think this is probably going to be using their dry electrode technology and some of the dry cell technology that they bought from Maxwell and a couple other companies that they purchased in 2019 and 2020. So that's exciting. What do y'all think about the dry batteries?
I'm just looking forward to seeing it actually get online and get going.
Yeah. Well, the other good thing about them using less water is that there's less pollution and less treatment involved with the manufacturer, because
True.
If you're not having to rinse everything off, then there's less chance of you contaminating the water, having to filter it if you never used it in the first place. Especially if you're in the middle of the desert, then you're not wasting drinking water. Eddie says petrol is a mean liquid. Absolutely, that stuff is very, very volatile. Tesla owner in China apologizes for starting the brake failure incident in China. So again, the smear campaign and lies. This is the guy who started the "My Tesla can't stop" lie in China, and it seems that after Tesla started their own Weibo account, which is a social network like Facebook in China, that apparently whatever they said to the guy was enough to get him to admit that he lied and then to recant. Now, if they can get that lady who bought the booth babes to the conference to do the same, but I think she's trying to get money from them. I don't think she's actually trying to spread the lie. Based on what we see.
Yeah, she's just trying to sue him big time, just trying to get money.
Yeah, that, and she refuses to admit that her dad or brother is a bad driver. 1.6 million Hyundai fossils, yeah. So what do y'all think about that? Brake failure controversy that's been proven false now.
Well, we already knew it was false anyway to begin with. I mean, the thing about it is Tesla does have all the data. That's the problem. They can prove whatever off of they get all the data from the cars.
Yeah. So they would have done a recall if it was actually a problem. They would have done a recall and fixed it, because their whole thing is safety. So the truth will set you free. Unless you're admitting to a murder, then you lock you up. Tesla police vehicle brings huge monetary savings to Westport, Connecticut. Let's see, they've got a chart here at Clean Technica. How was that for a transition, eh? In what city did I say? Westport, Connecticut. They ran a test of the Model 3 Pilot versus their Model 3 Next versus their Ford Explorer fossil vehicle, and they found that their starting costs were roughly the same, and looks like they had to pay for an EV charger, but they didn't have to pay for a gas station. Front camera, they had to add a front camera to the particular Model 3 that they had. And I see why. Probably because this one they were probably using Sentry mode, and this one they're using the standard system. Lights. Okay. So this one didn't have lights. License plate. It was probably license plate reader, that one, LPR.
Yep.
Spare tire. I guess this one requires a spare tire for the troopers, so they add one here and here, but the Ford police vehicle already came with one. Siren is just like invisible. There it is, siren. So it looks like, that the Model 3 is a good cost for these folks. I would personally go with the Model Y just for officer comfort, but so in 2019 they had added a patrol car, and it cost $37,000. That's a reasonable cost. Discounts amount to over $14,000. Payback in 1 year. I mean, it's cool stuff. People saying things like 52 grand, what a joke. I mean, that's the thing.
The people that say that, oh, it's 50 grand, what? That's crazy.
Yeah.
They don't realize how much money police vehicles actually cost. I mean,
exactly.
When they buy a police vehicle, it's not just the cost of a vehicle itself. They think, oh, well, it's a Ford Explorer. How much does that cost? Well, no. You're buying the vehicle, but then you're paying for all this upfit on top of that.
Yeah.
And with, first of all, you get the police package or whatnot and everything, a little beefier, suspension and a little beefier engine and all this other stuff. That all of that stuff adds up. And then the actual cost of what they actually spend for the vehicles is, a lot more than what people think. And then when you add on there the fuel costs per year and the maintenance that goes into these things are driven really hard. These vehicles are not treated gently.
No.
And so, I mean, I can tell you just off of firsthand that knowledge that you end up with vehicles with blown engines on 2-year-old vehicles.
Whoa.
Because this is how hard these cars are treated. It's no joke. And it's not even like super uncommon. It's actually common. So you have vehicles that are only a couple years old with blown engines that they're replacing literally engines on. And you compare that to an electric car. Now, an electric vehicle, it's just going to handle everything you throw at it because you're not, all that idle time doesn't add up on electric vehicles like it does on a gas vehicle. Taking off real hard, and it's nowhere near as rough on them. It's just, it's going to become obvious probably within the next couple of years that it totally makes sense.
Yeah. Plus, when you're demanding ultimate performance from a EV, it's putting out max performance for a lot less time, because by the time you've asked it for a full launch, you could hold it for a whole 3 minutes, but you wouldn't, because at that point you're already well over 100 miles an hour. And I mean, look at elevators. How often do you see an elevator motor get replaced? It happens, but it's rare. They have very few moving parts. They're built for their purpose. They're not trying to destroy themselves in operation. Whereas a fossil car, the minute you turn that key, it's trying to break itself. You're trying to contain millions of little explosions.
And especially if you look at a vehicle in a city setting.
Yeah.
So in a city setting, you get an emergency call that's a really, really hot, important call or whatever. Every block you have to tremendously slow down to, look and make sure that you're safe going through that intersection.
Yeah.
So then you're speeding right back up, trying to hurry up to the next light, in the next block, in the next block. You're doing that over and over and over again, and multiple times a day, going throughout the city, getting from one emergency call to the next emergency call.
Yeah.
That is a tremendous amount of strain on a vehicle, especially a gas vehicle, where you're, like I said, you're ramping down your speed and then ramping up. So now you're hitting it and you're gunning it. You're gonna incur a lot more maintenance on a gas vehicle, hands down, over EV. Yeah. It's just, the comparison is just insane.
Plus, when like you said, when they're idling, because it's hot or cold out, you don't really want the officer to freeze or cook, and so you've got the situation where,
and not only that, it's not even just for the heat or the air conditioning. If you're sitting like in an intersection directing traffic with the emergency lights on and stuff, it has to sit there idling, right? There's all types of situations. There's all types of situations where cars are sitting there idling.
Yeah.
And that idle time is putting more
stress
hours on that engine. Every minute that engine is running, the more stress is on that gas engine, the closer you are to a maintenance. So to some type of maintenance.
And that's consuming fuel and putting out pollution in the local area. It's like where the police cars are needed is also places that are already susceptible to extra pollution, and so if you're not dumping pollution into the local environment by using an EV, that's a plus. Eddie says charge time is a slight problem. It can be, but I have a feeling that the police are going to be just like homeowners that have on-site charging, where either they'll have an agreement set up with the local fast charger, or they'll install a fast charger, or if they don't do hot swap vehicles, then they will charge them at home, or not at home, but at the station, or if it's a vehicle that the officer takes home, they'll charge them at home. We've seen this with the other Model 3s and Model Ys.
So there's a couple, right? There's a couple different couple different ways of doing it. One is, like you said, you can have where officers have the vehicle assigned to them, and they take them home and they just keep them charged up, and then, you know, it's plenty of range. A Tesla has plenty of range to make it throughout their whole shift, throughout their day, and everything they're doing. It's fine.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is you can have where if the vehicle stays in the station, where it's basically it's a pooled vehicle that, you know, multiple different officers can use, have, let's say, this vehicle assigned to this particular shift. This vehicle is always used on that shift. Well, then it'll charge up over the course of the next shift, the next 8 hours or whatever. It's charged up. So
That's
now
for the next one after that. Yeah,
it's fine, and you can just, you know, cycle them through. Whereas they have plenty of time to charge up. All you need is level 2 charging at that point, and they install a bunch of level 2 chargers. It's not a problem. The cost of electricity is going to be a lot less than the cost of gas on the municipality, on the township, or whatever. So
especially if they have solar, municipal solar.
Especially if they add solar, you know. So that part's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And they could also charge while they do the reports at the end of the day, end of the shift, or
absolutely. Not even in the middle of the shift. If, you know, they take somebody in because they had to arrest somebody, right?
Yeah.
You take them into the station, then you plug the vehicle in, and then while you're doing all the paperwork and everything that you have to do, the car is getting at least a partial charge. It's not going to charge all the way up to 100% in that amount of time, but I mean, you got at least a good hour and a half or so of paperwork and everything that you have to do.
That's a significant amount of charge.
That's a good amount of charge that you can get off of level 2.
Yeah.
So.
And with all of these having a minimum range of 200 miles, some of them pushing 400-mile range. I mean, when you look at the size of these cities, I mean, other than stuff like LA and Jacksonville, most of them have a much smaller footprint than a 200-mile range would require. So, I mean, except for like what we saw where Fremont ran out of their charge after.
That, yeah, I can tell you about that.
That was a special case. Go ahead, tell us about that.
So, number one, what a lot of people don't realize about that Fremont incident, they're like, oh, the Tesla ran out of charge in the middle of a vehicle pursuit, and he initiated the pursuit and he couldn't finish it, and he ran out of charge. What happened was that vehicle wasn't charged the previous day. They took it out, you know, just going about their business, whatever. He joined in on a pursuit that was already initiated. He wasn't the lead card, so he wasn't even lead on that pursuit. And then the officer decided, no, I'm going to go ahead and break off from this and leave and not go on this and not continue the pursuit. So it didn't just like run out on the road and just stop and the car just left the officer stranded or whatever. No.
Yeah.
You know, he looked at how much charge he had. He said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and break off. You guys go ahead and take it. Everybody else that's already on it, y'all take it. I'm breaking off from this.
And then the only reason he was on that situation is the previous officer who had it on the shift before didn't plug it in at the end of his shift. He just parked it.
Right.
Instead of plug it in. But, I mean, that also happens with gas, right? I mean, occasionally somebody forgets to fill it up and they got to break off, right?
That can happen with gas. Absolutely. The same thing can happen if you don't check it at the beginning of the shift to make sure you're full or whatever, and the previous person didn't fuel it up when at the end of their shift when they were done. You can go and, oh shoot, I started my shift with a quarter tank. All right, well now I don't have enough to finish off what I'm doing. I have to go in. I have to go get more fuel.
How does that work? Do they have like fuel cards or something? I mean, because I imagine it takes a little bit longer than somebody who says I can fill up in 3 minutes.
Everywhere is different. Some townships, some places have their own gas station that's just for municipal vehicles or
that would take even further.
County vehicles or whatever.
You gotta go back to the place,
but you have to go back to where that designated place is. Right.
Yeah. Wow.
A lot of places do that, or they'll have a couple different places throughout where they have fueling stations where they can fuel up at. So, but they have to go back there. Some places might have some kind of partnership or whatever with the local place that have like a card or something where but it's all different.
The card, you still got to do a vehicle number or miles and your PIN number, and all, so it's not as quick as. So my video about the 7-minute gas fill, I said 3-minute gas fill in quotes. it's going to be on the longer side, just like it would be like when I do get gas in a fossil car. I'm writing down the miles and making sure I. But in the example in Ivory, he didn't do all that stuff. He used his points card. That was it, and it took him 7 minutes to fill his truck. So that's 7 minutes out of or more out of the chase. And there's multiple vehicles involved, so you've got coverage there. They've got the radio. You can't outrun the radio. Oh man, yesterday we were in heavy traffic. This motorcycle was riding on the left shoulder. Officer saw him go by. He jumped over. The guy pulled over. He jetted off, and my wife was like, "Yeah, how does he think he's getting away? I mean, even though the officer stopped, doesn't mean that he's free." You're a guy with a very distinctive motorcycle and a backpack, and on the highway with all the cameras. So yeah, you're not getting away. But sorry, go ahead about the fueling.
Yeah, so the bottom line is there's definitely ways to that you can definitely utilize them in patrol settings where they'll be more than adequate.
Yeah, and you start every shift full, assuming that you've got your charging situation handled. It's not like a gas car. It's like, oh, I'll fill it up next shift. Just like we do in our daily life. Oh, I'll fill up gas tomorrow, and then there's a quarter of the nation out of fuel the next morning.
Right. Yeah, so as long as you plan accordingly and you stick to your plan, you're fine. They plug in every night and they're good in the morning, the next shift, or they plug in at the end of the shift and they're fine the next time they need them.
Yep. Robert Williams says the police have got chargers waiting for EVs at the police station he saw. Yeah, see, that's the thing is it's so inexpensive to add a charger if you've got power going to the parking lot already, that why not do it? And when you add up the lifetime expense, it is totally worth it. Inside EVs is showing off this Renault rendering. They've gone a little retro. I think it's pretty cool. But it says top electric SUV, so I don't know if this is their render or if it is their render of what somebody saw from Renault. But if Renault comes out with something like this, I think it will sell very well. Because as we mentioned earlier in the show, these crossover SUVs, the midsize compact crossover SUVs, are doing quite well. What do y'all think about this one?
I don't put my faith in renderings.
Right?
Right. I mean, if they actually make the vehicle look like that, which we all know, you see an early rendering, and then by the time they get to their concept vehicle, and then by the time they actually get to a pre-production vehicle, and then a beta vehicle, and then actually come out with the vehicle, the thing is totally not what it originally was. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. But if they come out with something like that, I think it would be popular. There were just plenty of people that would want it. Not for me, but there's plenty of people that would.
I mean, it's not ugly. I mean, I might not personally go for it, but I like to look at it. So our friends at Tesla have another Tesla Model 3, Tesla Model Y recall. Some 2018, 2019, to 2021 Model Ys, where the seatbelt retractor might not be securely attached. What happened was the vehicles didn't pass their manual torquing by the workers, and then they were sent for further inspection, and something happened that further inspection might not have been sufficient. So again, if you're in the recall group, put in a ticket and get it taken care of. Everybody has these situations. And if you take care of it now, nobody will get hurt. I think the Chinese calendar was talking to you the other day. Oh, cool.
Seatbelts are important.
Yeah, they are. Seatbelts and brakes. And control arms.
Seatbelts, brakes, and airbags are really important. I don't know if you guys recall the Takata airbag recall.
Yeah, everybody
years ago that happened. Like every manufacturer,
like
they were literally making
Honda,
airbags
Toyota,
for everybody.
Ford, GM. Yeah, everybody in the industry got hit with the Takata airbags.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, I think they might still be rolling it out because basically they did it based on how likely you were to have a shotgun instead of an airbag, and then if you were more likely, they would replace yours first. Tesla has outlined their policy for solar panel removal and reinstallation. So if you need to get your roof re-roofed or if you want to remodel your roof, or if you want to move. Tesla has now issued some guidelines for how and when they will take care of that for you. If you're just getting the panels pulled off to reshingle your house and then put them back on, that's pretty much a straightforward shot. If you are getting your house redone, but it doesn't change your roof, it's done easy. Let me see if I can make this fit.
Is there a storage fee?
I'm hoping they just put it in your garage. That's what my people did.
You put the solar panels in your garage. I mean, I've had solar panels from a non-Tesla company, got the roof, and I had to pay a storage fee, which I knew up front.
Oh, they didn't put it in your house?
No.
Wow.
26 panels, so they can't put it in my house. They store
I've got 27 panels. They fit in my garage.
No, they store. Well, at least this company stored mine at their local company, and then they brought it back. But again, that was clearly upfront in language.
Yeah, and that's what Tesla's finally doing here. They're giving one policy, so you're not calling and getting 8 different answers for how they will take care of your house.
So it's only for these states?
For these states, these are the types of roofs that they will support going forward for the new roof to be eligible for solar panel installation. So basically, if you've got composite shingles, you're good. If you've got concrete flat tile, you're good. Concrete round tile, you're good. Some of these states are whole coasts, the East Coast. But roll down torch, foam, and corrugated metal, if you got one of those roofs, you're going to have to look at the map to see where they'll take care of you at. Also, they don't do flat roofs anymore. So if you got a flat roof, they also probably won't take care of you. 2 recalls non-insight that India hacked. Say it? Yeah. Wow. Not the test. Yeah, because it could be a vendor that caused the recall. So basically, what might happen is if you move, you're going to have to requalify if you move, and if you get your roof redone, like changed significantly, not just resurfaced, then you'll also have to meet requirements to make sure that they'll put it back on there for you.
So
but
speaking of solar and roofs, I had a conversation the other day, Thursday night, with some Tesla people, and because one of the things that I wanted to get would be a Powerwall. However, I already have Tesla solar.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to add Powerwall to my system, so I'll have the total package. Tesla currently is not doing that and will not do that because they have a supply shortage issue. Absolutely. So right now they're only bundling them together. They'll do, you can do solar roof and Powerwall, or you can do just regular solar plus Powerwall. But that's the only way they'll sell their solar offerings right now. Their power offerings right now is by bundling them together because they have more demand than they have production. Hopefully, with getting the Giga Berlin online, Giga Texas online, hopefully once they get more factories up and running and get more battery production, things will change. But for right now, that's what they have.
It's gone so far that some areas they're even requiring that if you get any solar, you have to get a Powerwall. So that they've completely bundled them. And then I saw a photo where they did the new install where everything's done outside. The power walls are all outside the house. Then they conduit directly into the new Powerwall Plus inverter, and then that goes straight into the meter. And they didn't touch anything inside the house, so that was pretty cool looking, actually.
Yeah.
If you are in an Omar situation, you can try and see if there's a local Powerwall certified solar installer and see if they have any stock. If they have stock, they might take care of you, or they might have also done the same as Tesla and say you have to get their solar to get a Powerwall. Yeah. But it's worth a shot.
But the Powerwall traditionally takes a long time to get.
Yes.
I mean, I have one. I know a friend who has 7, but that's for another story. But
it's a good video. You should watch it.
But
that was an interesting video.
Yes.
I don't want to. We can.
Just watch the video. That's it.
I don't want to talk about my show on his show. He can only allow that. But traditionally, the Powerwalls do take a long time. And I was lucky enough to get a referral. That's how I got my Powerwall. But that was 2 years in the making.
Yes, it was.
I got information that I was going to Powerwall. I'm like, okay. And I'm like waiting. I'm like the kid waiting at the mailbox, like every day, making sure something's coming, and it never came. So I forgot about like, oh, and I guess it was just shortcomings or something happened. And then 2.5 years later, they said, okay, we're ready for your install. I'm like, wow, this is really happening. So
yeah, I'm still waiting on my referrals.
So I did find a place that does the installs locally in my area. I'm going to reach out to them Monday and see, if they have any supply, or if I could find someone who might have a Powerwall, who might be willing to sell their Powerwall to me, if they will actually just do the install from that, and see, what my options are. So I'm still looking into it.
Certainly. So Tesla might soon be using LG Chem's NCMA 2170 cells in the Made in China Model Y. It's like we've said several times, if you give them some batteries they can afford, they will take them because they don't have enough. So that's exciting. LG, I don't know that they've done too many LGs in the cars outside of the Roadster, so that's a new development. Actually, it's pretty cool. Then we saw videos of the Vegas Loop in operation, and it proved how it's not just a subway or just a hole-in-the-ground tunnel, and why it's actually better than a train in some ways. And they also proved that they exceeded their contract requirements for 4,400 passengers per hour. So it's not a scam. It works.
So that's a proof of concept right there.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be exciting to see them move forward and expand that. Because they're doing they're going to do the whole strip, like we discussed last week.
Exactly.
And after they're finished with that complete Vegas design there, doing the whole strip, then they're going to continue on and take it to LA.
Yep. And like I said, they're not, they've got contract requirements to meet, so they're not going to just take these contracts on and then fail to meet them, because there's punishments involved in that, and they can get expensive depending on what you agree to. Yeah. And then if they weren't on track to meet the first contract, then they definitely wouldn't get the second contract awarded to them. So I don't know why folks were so afraid of this. But I'm excited to see it in operation.
Whatever happened to the Hyperloop?
The Hyperloop was an idea that he just released to the wild. I don't know that they're actually going to do one anytime soon, because they've got Starship and Earth-to-Earth transport, and then they've got the tunnels, and then they've got the full self-driving Teslas eventually. So I don't know that they need the Hyperloop for themselves.
So with the Hyperloop, that was just Elon putting something out to the wild and just hoping to crowdsource and just seeing who would come up with something.
The wild is correct, because it was sitting out in the wild of the sticks near outside of DC for the longest time, and nothing happened. So
there is Virgin Hyperloop and Hyperloop One that are actually making progress on theirs, and we'll see how they do. Robert Williams points out that the Powerwall is currently very expensive. Yes, the price has been all over the map. $3,000 to $8,000, and yeah.
Someone did an analogy of what we was talking about earlier about how much this person spent, and I was like, dude, really? That's all I gotta say.
Right.
Part 2 and part 3 are coming next week, but the following week.
Yes. So the Chatamo adapter is back in stock. So if you need that, grab it before it goes back out of stock again.
Get one from Omar. See, there he is. See, he's got this right there. There you go.
It looks like this.
Yeah, from Omar.
Yep, it can charge up to.
This is an adapter that allows you to use your Tesla at a Chatamo station. So there's CCS and there's Chatamo, and then there's Tesla. These are like the three main DC fast charging standards. And the Chatamo is this type of connector that's what the Nissan Leaf uses. It's a huge, bulky thing, and it's usually at like 50 kilowatts. So the other end is obviously Tesla. So this is the adapter piece that allows you, as a Tesla owner, to use Chatamo.
Yep. And the other end there is a supercharger Gen 2 sized connection. Both the cable and the handle. It's not the little one that comes with your car or with your wall connector.
Hey,
correct.
Should I get my CCS one to show people or no?
If you got it, yeah.
Sure.
Give me a minute or two.
Okay.
Right.
And so they'll charge at 50 kilowatts, and it's an option if you're going to be traveling in an area that has low service on superchargers or where the superchargers tend to be oversubscribed. Although, if the superchargers are oversubscribed in an area with all these new EVs coming out, then the alternatives might also be busy.
True. And in the early days, as Tesla was still just starting to really build out their networks, when I first got my car, I bought this CHAdeMO adapter because there were certain areas where I knew had Nissan dealerships that had CHAdeMOs. And so it actually did come in useful. I have used it a few times. The experience with CHAdeMO chargers has been hit or miss. They've been really they've gotten better, but they were really bad. Like the first design that Nissan had for theirs were terrible. They would overheat pretty quickly and fail. So what would happen is you'd start charging up. You after about 15 minutes or so, the charging station would overheat and it would just go into a fault mode, fail, and turn off on you. So they've gotten better. They figured out their design, but this did come in useful a few times where it wasn't as many superchargers available. But now, I mean, I haven't used it honestly in years.
Yeah, they can update it at the service center. Mobile technically could do it, but they don't ever give mobile the tool needed to update it. So you got to go to the service center, connect it to the Tesla Wi-Fi, and they update it from the CHAdeMO side, not from the. Because if they could update it from the Tesla side, then it would be just a matter of plugging in at home while your car is connected to Wi-Fi. But they don't do it that way, unfortunately.
So on the future show, Stephanie, I'm originally from Chesapeake, Virginia, and charging is at best hard. Supercharging is difficult. So I had to look at other options. For me personally, I have a 70 kilowatt battery. So here you can see this is just the Tesla side right here. You see? Yep. And then this here allows me to charge at EVgo DC fast charging. Now I'm gonna tell you, it's all nice and I'm holding it with one hand, but this is a bear to connect.
It's heavy.
And disconnect. So it's not like your atypical Tesla charger where you just go boop, boop, and you're done.
It's a two-handed affair.
2 hands, 1 foot, on a cable. So I did a proof. I partnered with the state of Pennsylvania Tesla Owners Club, and we bought these as a group buy. And so I went out and obviously did a video of how well it works, and it does. It works. It serves its purpose, but that will be coming again somewhere down the line in video format.
So to connect that's interesting because it has a permanent bend in it like that.
Yeah.
Like this one is like really flexible.
Cable. Yeah.
So is it easier to connect that to the CCS side first, then plug into the Tesla, or plug it into your Tesla first, then try to connect the CCS into it?
Either one, but I charged it. I mean, I used the CCS first, and because it's heavy, it's already heavy. The end, if you can imagine this end dangling on the ground, you got to pick it up. And my fear was if I'd have plugged it in this way and I didn't have it all the way in, it would come out and fall.
That too.
So I just said, well, let me just plug it here first, and then plug it into the Tesla.
Yeah. Also, being a third-party adapter, it's very sensitive to the order of how you plug it in. So once you find a way that works, just keep doing that.
Yes. Oh God.
Oh yeah, I found that out with the with this. It's just funny because at some stations it was easier to get the station working to plug it into this first, then plug this into the Tesla.
Yes.
And in some station it's the other way around.
Yes. you are speaking my pain because I did that on video. I mean, it was like we don't read it, and so I had to take it out, undock it, and put it back again, and it doesn't. 3 times I went through that. Then I ended up calling them. I was like, "Hey, I have this," and they did something. So again,
the one that Purcell's got by Satec, you can update it via USB. So they are also actively working on theirs as well. So it's just a matter of if you're a third-party averse person, or if you are fine with third-party stuff. Then
you can barely see it, but where my finger is right here is actually a USB. You can hold. Let me pop it open so you can see it. It's kind of.
Is it a port or a drive?
Support.
Okay.
Yeah, support. I know
Okay.
it's black on black, so you can't see it.
Yeah.
And I'm bad with cameras, but yeah, you can't see it. See,
yeah, you can right there.
Yep, you can see
angle.
Right there.
That angle's perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you charge it. I bought a cigarette lighter and I
Yeah.
charged it, and it works. And then you have this light here on the handle. Oh my God, why am I doing this? And I'm so horrible at this. So you see the green light here. You see that means
Yeah.
it's on and it's ready to charge. But once you're finished, you have to disable it because it will technically run down. So you have to turn it off. So
Makes sense.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So Tesla has submitted their application to build batteries at Giga Berlin, which I guess that wasn't really much of a surprise after we told you they're going to use less water building batteries there. But I guess, yeah, they've been doing a lot of stuff there without their permits, so it's good that they got the permit. Scientists have cost-effectively harvested lithium from seawater, and lithium is the third most common element in the universe. And so if we can get it from ocean water instead of from dry dirt instead of from any other type of mine other than a salt mine, salt mines are pretty cool, then it makes sense to do it, especially if it's cost effective, because a lot of the complaints you get are, oh my goodness, you got to mine for lithium. Lithium is typically not mined like a regular metal because it's so common. It's literally the same way you get salt, table salt. Either from the ocean, not cost effectively until now, or from a salt mine where they just pump water into it like a salt cave, and then they pump up the salinated water into a field, and then they let the field evaporate, and then they go and pick up the crust. And that crust was a small part lithium and a small part, chloride salt. So that's how we typically get our lithium. But you can also do regular old mining for it, but it's not cost effective. So you'll rarely see it done that way. Which is why when we did our testimony and all those people were complaining about not wanting to be next to a lithium mine,
Now, if they can take that ocean water and mine the lithium by pumping the water into the ground and getting the lithium up that way, then maybe they'll get even more lithium out of it that way.
You'd have to find a mine that's near an ocean, though.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Moving water is expensive.
True. Water's very heavy.
Yeah. Kia announces their new 2021 Niro EV with added tech. So it looks a little better than the first Niros I saw, but it's still about the same. They used to call it the e-Niro, now they call it the Niro EV. Let's see what's new about it. I forgot. So you get a standard rear occupant alert, so it's door logic based. So basically, if you open the back door and then don't open the back door when you get out, they will, like Ford does and GM, they will let you know, hey, check the back seat. You might have left a kid back there. They've got wireless Apple CarPlay on the EX trim and Android Auto. Remote start. Really? They didn't have remote start on it before? This is the first EV I've seen with like smart functions that didn't have remote start. All right.
Wait, they didn't have that?
Right.
Wow.
I mean, Leaf and Volt had it in 2010. And then every other car I've looked at, I just assumed they had it. Wow.
What's funny is my first Leaf had it with 2G connectivity.
Right.
When the Leaf first came out.
So when they had an app and wireless, I thought that meant that they had it. I guess I know not to assume that now. My goodness. And then the expansion of the DriveWise driver assistance, their ADAS. So basically, lane keep assist, smart cruise control, and apparently highway driving assist. So it'll do like basic basic autopilot will, smart cruise control curve. That's cool. A worthwhile update to a solid EV until it gets replaced with the Kia EV6.
Expensive though for a Kia.
You're paying for that battery.
$40,000 and $45,000 for the EX trim. If I'm going to spend $45,000, I'm going to spend a teensy bit more and get something a lot better.
Something name brand?
Well, honestly, the Kia brand has come up and has gotten a lot better over the years than they were years ago. Yeah. So they started making vehicles that are much more higher quality than when they first initially, than their reputation, kind of gives them. And
for 45,000, you can get into the Volvo. You can get into, I mean.
So yeah, there's plenty of options out there at that price point. Absolutely.
So,
but that doesn't mean that people won't buy the Kia as well. I mean, as long as they're making something that's, on par as far as quality and amenities as those other vehicles, I don't see why anybody would not look at them. I mean, I wouldn't discount them out if I was in the market in that price point and I was looking at other EVs other than the one I already have or that I'm getting.
Like if you're Tesla averse or you don't want to give any money to Ford, or it's more options, which is what we need. But like you said, that would be cool to see it cost less.
Right. Yeah. No. And I'm definitely in favor of like all of them switching over, and people who are brand loyal to all the different ones have options for them.
I really like the
that seems really expensive.
Yeah, there's one benefit to that though, is that they are still qualifying for the full federal tax credit. So it's actually up to $7,500 less, depending on your tax situation. Speak to your tax professional, and then even more if you're in a state that has something to go for it, like Omar with the in July, and Colorado and Oregon and California.
That's true.
But like you said, even after those, it might still be more expensive than you would anticipate for that brand. So either they need to maintain their come up, or
and Kia's sister company Hyundai has.
Yes.
I really like the EV6. I think it's called.
The EV5 is Hyundai, the Ioniq 5, and the EV6
Ioniq.
is Kia.
That's what it is. The Ioniq 5. I'm sorry, but yeah. So like I said, their sister company Hyundai, they're coming out with a really nice offering. It's supposed to be the end of this year for the 22 model year.
Yeah, Robert says that Kia and Hyundai are basically saying absolutely, and then he brings up software versus hardware. So that's a very good point. So on this Kia, you have to get the new model year to get remote start. On my Volt, I had to get the new model year to get what I call the electronic tach, where basically it would tell you where the power is going in the car to the kilowatt. And the computer didn't change between years. It also didn't change from the 2011 to the 2012. But the 2012 had exterior keyless entry, which was nice. That one I can see being a feature you had to get a new car for, because they had to install the radios in all the doors. But to get the electronic tach, as I call it, you didn't have to build a new car. You could have taken some money from me and updated the software, but they wouldn't do it at any price. And that sounds like the same thing here at the Kia. Like, they won't give you the remote start at any price. And I bet you that that this car probably had the capability inside, and now they just want you to buy the new model year to get it. And that's one.
Well, they want to sell cars. They don't want to. They don't.
Right.
They don't want you to just update the car you have and keep the car you have. They want to sell you a new car.
Right. But that's one of the beauties of the way that Tesla does business. And also one of the, and we've seen that other manufacturers are dabbling in it when you see that Hyundai wants to charge you monthly for heated seats. I would rather pay once. Yeah, I'd rather pay once and get the features added. That's fine to me, but I don't know about paying monthly. But then we're going to see how that works out with full self-driving subscriptions, how they handle that, because that will be the same deal.
Okay. Yeah, but at least in that scenario, you're paying for software as a service versus you're paying for heated seats, which is something that's like hardware that you already know that is in the car, but you're paying for it to be enabled to be able to use it. And it's, other than the fact that it's heated seats, it's not like it's giving you the same type of benefit as, I don't know. I just see it differently when it comes to the full self-driving subscription model versus a subscription model for heated seats.
But either way, they're not making you take a new car to get heated seats. So I do like that part. I don't know about the pricing of it. And the good thing is, since it is all software, they can change how they want to charge you for it. Or if they go out of business, they can just turn it all on their way out the door. So, I mean, it's better than not having the option. This whole you have to buy a new car every year is wasteful. It's as the lithium averse people pointed out. You shouldn't have to get a virgin car every time. You should be able to get recycled or used or whatever. I mean, as we see with the Teslas, once they go through Tesla used, they come back with a completely different set of options that they had when the owner had it. So both good and bad. Hi to the puppy. Wes says, I would have driven my dad insane to know that the hardware was installed and you had to pay to simply turn something on. Yeah, that's the hard part right now is how do they go about this? I mean, it's cheaper to install it on every car, but then how do you price it so that people don't feel like you were taken advantage of for something that was already in there? And then in the case we see with Tesla, some folks go and third party turn it back on. But then with that, is it stealing, or is it just using some stuff that was already there, or
and then you get a software update that kills it and reverts it back, or now you can't get a software update because
right. So the people
because you have a hacked version of your software running.
Right. So the people who paid for it, do they feel that they got a raw deal, or do they feel like, hey, how very clever, but I'm not going to risk my warranty on that sort of thing? But yeah, I agree that this is new territory, and I like that they have the option. But as your dad would feel, I do feel it's like, why not just make it a standard feature, and then you can say, but I get that, hey, some people might not want the price, and so here's the price for people who didn't have the option, and then we get the lower price of just everything's got it, so we don't have to make a separate shift to put in cars with no heated seats. So it's interesting. I honestly think that people know what they're getting into. So it's not, yeah, exactly. So as long as they tell me up front, and then if they later give me the option to update it, I mean, if I know the heated seat module is in there and I can never turn it on for a monthly fee or one-time fee, I mean, come on, guys, why do that? So yeah, you know what you're getting into, and especially if you know up front that there's some way to turn it back on, it makes you feel less like you got taken advantage of, especially if you save money up front. Like, hey, here's my budget, and I really like heated seats, but they're not important to me. And here's this feature that I do need. I'm gonna get that feature I need, and then later on, if I come into a small windfall, I can turn on the heated seats, hopefully permanently.
Well, or seasonally, right? Like in most climates, you're not going to need them year round. So if it's something that
right.
You're on a budget and you only need them for a couple months a year, then maybe that makes the purchase more affordable.
Yeah. That part is pretty cool too. All right, so we've been at this for a little bit, and I want to thank our new members, and I want to thank all of you guys for sharing your time with us this afternoon. And Purcell, you've got a show called...
So my name of my show is called Don't Waste Your Time. This video may not be for you. I say that laughingly, but that's the name of it. So if you want to search it on YouTube, just type in Don't Waste Your Time Tesla. That's the fastest way to find it. And so I have over 120 videos out there, and I drop a new episode every Saturday morning. So please, I'm trying to be like Casey. I'm trying to be a junior Casey Green and get my numbers up a little bit. So, but I really appreciate everybody's support, and and thank you, Casey, for allowing me to give me a little promotion time.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure. And for everybody else, I want to thank you for spending your morning, afternoon, evening with us. And here's a quick message, and we'll catch you on the flip side next week, 1:10 p.m. Eastern time.